So last week I mentioned I had been going through a bit of analysis paralysis that was preventing me from posting videos and putting content out, and it was mainly caused by LLM overusage. But I think another part of it was like there's so many YouTube videos and there's so much content online about like the perfect hook and like topics that are going to keep people's attention, and these 3 points and the way to structure a video. And I think that was kind of preventing me from hitting kind of record. So I'm thinking less about the hook, hoping you just stay with me while I go through this. But today I want to go through some quotes that have inspired me over the last few months. Because if you're not growing, you're shrinking. And I think I was shrinking for a little bit there. So now I'm back on a growth trajectory, and our team is doing learning journeys, which are kind of like tailored pathways to address a topic that's kind of been holding you back. Mine was kind of fear of feedback and people pleasing, and so I read 3 or 4 books for that. Now we're going into Q2, and it's all about kind of confidence and putting myself back out there, and so that's where this comes in. So here are some of the quotes and why they kind of give me inspiration during this time. So the first one is, focus on managing actions, not outcomes. I think when we start a project, we are so enthusiastic about it and we're excited about it. We're less concerned about the destination because we're so excited about the journey. And I think as we go further along, we're just looking more at kind of like the finish line and what is the end. And in things like, business, for example, there is no end. You're on kind of this hamster wheel, and you're kind of constantly going and constantly moving. So I think what happens as you get bigger, you start thinking about like annual goals and quarterly goals and this number and that number. And I think that for me isn't always the best thing to do. I think focusing on the actions that lead to outcomes is often better. And I know for me personally, yeah, it's good to have a goal. You should have goals. But I think if you overly focus on the goal, sometimes you forget on how to break that goal down into little activities that are going to essentially get you cumulatively to that outcome. So focus on managing actions, not outcomes. Number 2, your network is your net worth. I'm sure many of you have heard this before. Your network is your net worth. And I think at a certain point through my burnout, I was kind of turtling a little bit and kind of hiding from the world a little bit. And I think even for someone like confident and outgoing as me and social, it can happen. And I think burnout does make that happen. So, don't forget that your network is your net worth. And what that ultimately means is, are you shaking hands? Are you connecting people? Are you helping people, right? The more people you help and the more people that you're connecting, the better off you're going to be, both in terms of like a feeling of purposefulness, that you're achieving your purpose, and other parts, whether that's financially, growing as an individual, and just having a good time. Like, the more people that you're shaking hands with, the more fun you're having. Number 3, pressure is a privilege. I think in the last few years, I have been feeling a lot of pressure. And that's, I think, natural now that I'm kind of looking at things more objectively. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. You have other family members that are depending on you, employees that are depending on you, clients that are depending on you. I feel like there was a point where I was carrying a big burden. And I realize now that it's good to feel needed, and it's good to also need others. And it's a transaction, right? In the sense that, it's a relationship, but it's also a transaction in the sense that, yes, my kids depend on me, but they also give me something too. And my clients and employees, they depend on me, but they give me a lot in terms of, making me who I am, really. So I think it's easy to lose sight of that when you're burnt out. So the line here is, pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. I love that. Number 4, this is good. If you can overthink the worst, why can't you overthink the best? If you can overthink the worst, why can't you overthink the best? This is amazing. I mean, how much time do we spend processing in our minds, being anxious about things that we can't control, or even if we can control it, like how to actually tackle it? If we put all that energy and power towards overthinking the best that could happen, the best outcomes, what would that do for you? What would that do for kind of how you perform, and how would that make your life better? So for me, that's a big one. I think I've been catastrophizing a lot about, what if this happens and what if that happens? And, I grew up with nothing, to be honest. I grew up with nothing. So I never had anything to lose. Now I feel like I do, and I think that requires me to double down on doing more work and more activity and helping more people and shaking more hands and, driving more results. And so that can take you down a scary place if you're not careful, but I think it's important to overthink the best, which then ultimately manifests the best. So if you can overthink the worst, why can't you overthink the best? Love that one. Okay, number 5. This is something I was scrolling on TikTok, and it was like this pageant queen or something that had kind of continually lost the pageant and then eventually won. Giving up is the birth of regret. Giving up is the birth of regret. You can look back and think about why you didn't do this, or why you didn't do that, or why you stopped doing this, or why you stopped doing that. And the moment you start thinking like that, you are going to bear regret for you. I think regret is a bad thing. You don't want to look back and think about why you did or didn't do anything. So don't give up is A, but I think even if you have kind of given up on certain parts where you may have not been committed, move on, move forward, because there's a reason that you aren't proceeding with that. So giving up is the birth of regret, okay? Don't give up. And the last one is simple. Be a connector. This kind of plays into your network is your net worth. Be a connector. And I think this is something that I may have lost sight of along the way, which was, I love people. I love connecting with people. I love being social. I love getting out there. I lost sight of that. And burnout can do that. Burnout can do that to you. You think everything's a burden, right? And it's exhausting, and you don't want to take that first step, and you don't want to pick up that phone, and you don't want to answer that call, or you don't want to reply to that text. And it's like, yeah, but then what's the point, right? What's the point if we're not connecting with each other, right? And I think somewhere in the last couple of years, not for me necessarily, but I think out there, it's kind of this idea of working with a robot and having a business where it's just robots or AI all around you is some kind of being idealized. And I don't necessarily want that. I want to work with people. I want to take care of people. I want to laugh with people. I want to, help people drive results. And that's kind of how I started my own business. It was really always about connecting consumers with our clients through marketing, and by extension connecting with our clients by creating that relationship. So yes, are there synergies and opportunities and ways to make things better using AI and automation and technology? Yeah, for sure. We're leveraging it. But at the end of the day, to what end? If it's not about connecting with people and laughing with people and having a good time and growing together and high-fiving and laughing together and crying together and winning together, then what is this whole thing about? And I think the faster that we remind ourselves of that, the better off we'll be. So, random quotes, I know they're a bit all over the place. They're part of kind of the season I'm in right now, but I hope you took something out of it. And yeah, comment below if there's any quotes that are part of your current season. And what your learning journey is right now. What are you reading? What are you getting into these days? Would love to connect with you. All right. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.